Yo, yo, yo. Welcome in, golf fans. Extremely thrilled to bring you the Preferred Lines podcast tonight. My name is Joe Idoni. My partner is back from England. That's John Haselbauer next to me. Welcome to the show. We're going to talk RSM Classic this week. We're going to talk betting picks. We're going to talk Internet Invitational and everything in between. Let's ride.
Got 152 yards. Should be just a nice, comfortable 9-iron for him. They're going to go nuts when he hits this thing.
That's dirt.
Good friends of the internet, it's an honor to have you on this episode of the Preferred Lines podcast, where we will be covering in extensive detail the final event, regular season event, I should say, of the 2025 PGA Tour season, the RSM Classic, an event that has been kind to me over my history. It is great to see you this evening. Thanks for being a part of the show. Make sure to hop on over to the YouTube channel and subscribe, like, do all the things to keep this thing flowing and keep the momentum riding. We also have brand new pages on Instagram and TikTok. We're really trying to make a push there as well. So if you would be so kind as to search us up, Preferred Lines, on either one of those formats, we would greatly appreciate it. John's back in the saddle this week, fresh off a plane from England. John, how was your trip? How are you? It's great to see you. Let's do this for the final episode of the year. What's going on?
Yes, sir, and welcome back to you from Disney. I know that's not quite as long of a journey as mine from over the pond, but nonetheless, it was nice to kind of recharge the batteries a little bit. I flew into London, hopped straight off the red eye to the Tottenham Hotspur's Manchester United game at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That was an experience. I'll save my takes for later, but that was an experience. And it was nice. The rest of the trip after London, I studied abroad in London when I was in college. So we spent like 2 or 3 days there, and it was kind of like playing the hits of some nostalgic places that I used to love going to. And then we were in the countryside in the Cotswolds for the rest of the time. And I was actually renting a car and driving around on the other side of the road. No accidents, made it back alive. So all things good. Unfortunately, I missed a good deal of the Bermuda Championship. It was really hard to adjust the time difference, plus the weather delays and the suspensions and them starting early and then teeing off early. Like, I had no idea where I was when I see Rico Hoey's teeing off in 10 minutes and I'm like, going to sleep. I'm like, how did we get on this timeline?
Yeah.
But it's been good.
We can start there. We could start with Bermuda. I don't know how much you were able to catch of it. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it was like quite an electric Sunday and actually a super fun tournament throughout. Congratulations to Adam Schenk, who was basically hitting ground balls up the middle throughout the entire back nine in absolutely maniacal wins out there. Was fun to see him kind of pull it off. I had Vince Whaley, who was kind of making a charge, and then he bogeyed the par 5 17th hole, one of the ones that I highlighted last week in the GolfGuiders preview. So was not able to take advantage of that hole. Finished T3, and then obviously what was going on with Kanaya down the stretch as well was kind of quite intriguing. So fun wrap up to the Bermuda. Excited to kind of shift gears to the RSM, but also, while you were over there, not sure if you caught much of what was the race to Dubai finals, but that was also insanely exciting. Matt Fitzpatrick won in a playoff against Rory, who had an electric eagle on the 18th hole to get into that playoff. An elite crew of guys won back, including Tommy Fleetwood, Ludwig, Rasmus Niergaard Peterson, Laurie Cantor, who's in the news, who actually threw that event. Laurie Cantor, former member of the Cliques, now finished top 10 in the DP World standings and is able to gain a PGA Tour card through finishing in the top 10. He apparently has no suspension because he was never a PGA Tour member. So the first player from LIV to rejoin the PGA Tour now is Laurie Cantor. So just kind of keeping you and everyone else up to speed on what happened in the golf world. But it was actually kind of a quite thrilling weekend of professional golf.
Yeah, I had a hard time streaming anything. Overseas, I don't have the right like access, and I'm on the go from one museum to another or whatever. So if I can't get it on my phone, I can't get it. I couldn't bootleg it or anything like that. Not that I would ever. But I was following along on Twitter, and it seemed like an epic Fitzpatrick versus Rory playoff. It's so shameless what the DP World Tour has become as just a pure feeder tour where the highest stakes of that event are like who gets to leave the DP World Tour. Like, how did they? I don't know how they put themselves in that position where they are crowning the guy who does not play DP World Tour events, and the other stakes are for guys to leave your tour.
Right.
But with all of that going on, it was for sure the more compelling and more competitive tournament of the week. So maybe in the future I will get some action on both Bermuda and that event, because it's so clearly like the more important golf tournament going on that week.
Right. Yeah, it's fun though. Obviously, a lot of at stake at the Bermuda, as well as guys, and we'll touch on this later in the show. Right on that fringe point of the top 100 and the top 60. So the top 60 will get them in those first two signature events. The top 100 is what's essentially needed to, have full access to a PGA Tour card in the year 2026. So a lot of important storylines, especially leading into this week. Other news and notes for the week: Justin Thomas underwent a microdiscectomy. Does not sound pleasant. Back surgery and golfers, typically a nightmare scenario. No bueno. What do you think this could mean for what's going on in 2026? The outlook for Justin Thomas and the Atlanta Drive back-to-back repeat could now be in serious jeopardy as they lose potentially their top member of the TGL team in JT and an everyday star. So a lot of things circling, but sucks to see JT go on the IR for a little bit.
Yeah, that I don't know if they can get a free agent signing there to backfill him. Otherwise, you're asking a lot out of Billy Horschel for the season.
Yeah.
And Tiger as well is kind of leaving that to the Jupiter Lynx, your local team, high and dry. So hopefully there is a pipeline to play into. Maybe Dalkey or Grant Horvat are available as stand-ins here, because they're going to need it. TGL is not really built to have injury concerns, so we'll see how that goes. You obviously wish the best for JT. He must have been playing through something at Bethpage, and honestly played pretty well considering he was dealing with all of that, and had a pretty good end of his year last year. So gotta hope that he's going to come back better than ever. You worry about someone who's like built the way that he is, so wiry. If you're not getting the most mobility out of your frame, that's are you going to be able to generate that same speed? Hopefully all of this, surgery is to make sure that he can go full bore again. He's just a great dude. Like the PGA Tour is at his best when JT is playing well and injecting that energy into these events. So we'll definitely miss that for the early part of next year. I know there's no timetable on it. Hopefully he's not rushing it, and you wish the best for JT.
Absolutely. Wish him the best. Sucks to not see JT down here during TGL season, as I hope to cover it quite a bit this year as well. Not see him also at the Skins game, which takes place next Friday, Black Friday. So Shane Lowry takes his spot over there at Panther National. I assume it'll be Lowry and Fleetwood versus Keegan and Xander at this point. A little Europe, USA, kind of lean into the ties there. But those are some of the storylines from last week. Before we get into the serious golf stuff, we'll cover the course. We'll get you all squared away for Sea Island. We'll make some picks. Let's do a fun segment on just kind of like some personal stuff and a little bullish or bearish this week. What are you buying? What are you selling? John, I know you want to divulge some stuff from your recent trip to England. What are you bullish on after your trip across the pond to England? Give me your take.
Yeah, I'm going to cheat because I'm going to do two. I have two that I'm bullish on. I couldn't choose, so I'm just going to do both of them. And I'm bearish on one, absolutely. I'm just going to focus on that. So bullish, I rented a car. I drove on the other side of the road. Actually very bullish on roundabouts. Roundabouts are everywhere in England. Almost nowhere in America have I ever come across a roundabout. They are so efficient. get rid of the stop and go with the red lights. Sometimes if it's like a slow day, you're not even slowing down. You're just going right through. You don't have to yield to anybody. You know that there's no one on the other side. It's so much more efficient for traffic flow. And have you ever come across a roundabout near you? Because around me, I never see them. And the thought of them is very daunting to me. Like, oh no, I might not know how to yield on the other side, or I might look the wrong way. It's the easiest thing ever.
Yeah.
And again, efficiencies, love it. Get rid of traffic lights. If everything was a roundabout, we'd be living in 2050 in a much more civilized society.
Yeah, fantastic take. I actually have 2 roundabouts that I go through on my way from my house to 10 minutes to the golf course. Terrific invention, world-class strategery, whoever created it. But I'll say this, you get every now and then you get the person who doesn't understand the rules of the roundabout. So I think probably over here, if we're going to implement roundabouts into regular traffic, we need to teach the roundabout to everyone and make sure everyone's clear on the yielding rules, because in order to be effective, they've got to run efficiently at all times. So we need everyone to do their part on the roundabout scene.
Yeah, it's not on a driver's test. I can tell you right now, my road test never came across a roundabout. I had to do 3-point turns. I had to do parallel parks. Things that, probably more important, but in other parts of the country, you might see more roundabouts than the need to parallel park. I've never really needed to parallel park in the suburbs, but I had to do it on my road test. So hopefully roundabouts become, public domain soon to come. Couldn't be more bullish about it. Love them. I'm also very bullish about puddings.
Oh,
Puddings really, it's like a catch-all. Everything is a pudding. I don't know if last time you went to England, but puddings
never been.
Oh, okay. So puddings is the dessert menu. And then from the dessert menu, you can order actual pudding, which would be what we know pudding as, which is like basically chocolate jello in a cup. But it's never that. It's always like a cake that's referred to as pudding. Then when you have breakfast, it also comes with pudding, but it's black pudding, which is like fried. It's like a rice cake, basically, with like pig's blood or something. It sounds disgusting, but it's also delicious. And then on my flight home, it was Virgin Atlantic, and they had afternoon tea in a box, which came with actual pudding. That was not, it was called like ganache or something. They didn't even refer to it as pudding, but I'm keeping it in the family because going into England, I did already love pudding. And I've never come across the idea of anything else that is so universally could apply to anything. And no matter what you apply it to, it's fantastic. So all the way in on puddings, I'm trying to, I think it's a better word for dessert anyway. So I think I'm going to keep that. And whenever I order dessert now around here, I'm going to ask for the pudding menu and just see what happens. But yes, was very won over by the puddings menu over the course of last week.
Okay, so English edition, we are bullish. We are buying puddings. We are buying roundabouts. Orlando, Florida edition. For me, big personal weekend for the mouse. Okay. Not only do we get news of a landmark framework agreement between the powers that be at Mickey Mouse Industries and YouTube, we get it done, granting all you fine people the ability to flip on over to Monday Night Football right now between this and the show. Don't switch from the show, but you can pull them both up at once. So we get the framework agreement. Disney, YouTube TV, they are back. But personal mouse magic I witnessed firsthand this weekend with my daughter. It was her birthday. So for some context, they have, if anyone's ever been to Magic Kingdom, they have this sword that is in the stone. Actually, I think it's an English thing, maybe from a movie, but it is stuck in the stone, and everyone goes there. You get a picture. There's a line. You try to pull it out, and supposedly it only releases for the heroes, and nobody ever gets it, right? They release it like maybe 2 times a day. So my daughter, she's so cute. She's wearing the birthday sash. My wife got her all the works, folks, at the Bippity Boppity Boutique. And we stood in line watching adult after adult try to lift this sword. And then I don't normally do this and share personal videos because it's a little scary on the internet, but this is too wholesome for all you weird people out there. Don't make anything weird of it. This is my daughter lifting the sword at Magic Kingdom, bullish on the mouse. Here we go. Let's let the video rip. Add to stage. People are chanting her name since her birthday. It comes up. It doesn't get much better than this.
Let's
folks.
go.
Magnolia lifts the sword. You can hear my son's voice. He can't believe it because he just tried and was like, wasn't sure what happened that my daughter didn't get it, and he did. But classic, good-hearted, wholesome, almost shed a tear, Disney moment, bullish on the mouse. But let me say this before I get off the Disney stuff. We've got to figure out an exit strategy for Magic Kingdom. Absolute disaster, nightmare scenario for myself and any fellow dad out there. Disney needs to consider the dads in this because we all day have displayed like borderline heroic levels of patience and overspending. And then all we want to do when the fireworks are out is get our family back to the hotel and an hour and a half long monorail followed by trying to escape the parking lot and taking 2.5 hours to go 3 miles. While you're kind of carrying kids. I'm running through the lot with my crying daughter. My son's tired. He doesn't want to walk anymore. Just leaves that sour taste in your mouth that really kind of shits on the entire day, if I'm being honest, John. So while I am bullish on the mouse, I think there is room for improvement. Disney can be better, but a fun day for the family nonetheless. Let's hop into bearish. What are we selling this week? What are you not in on in terms of English culture?
Yeah, this is not exclusive to England, but something that, and honestly, I had this take before I went, but it really validated it. Draws in soccer matches.
Oh, yeah.
I'm done with them. Penalty kicks are amazing. Golden goal is amazing. Finality after leaving a match and knowing who the winner was is great. It's great closure, Great. And I left this match. Nobody watching this show probably watched this match. It was a big deal. Manchester United, a big team. Tottenham's having a pretty good year. I became a very casual Tottenham supporter over the last 3 weeks because I knew I was going to this game. So I bought FIFA. I played with the team, so I knew I knew the formations and the coach. I followed all the handles on Twitter, so I know who we like, who we hate, what we want to happen, how the team's doing. So I was in it for a day. I was a big Spurs supporter, and who knows? I'll probably stick with it for the rest of the year. But it's always going to be Sunday mornings, and Sundays are long enough as it is. I've already got my football, so I'm probably not going to keep to it. But it was cool for the moment. And the way the game went, Manchester scored early. And yes, it was 1-0 for most of the game. Then in like the 80th minute, Tottenham tied it. Everyone's going crazy. We went from losing to we're going to get a point. Then in like the 89th minute, Tottenham scored again. They took the lead. The place is electric. We thought we were losing, scored 2 goals in 10 minutes. At the very end, the guy who scored ripped his shirt off. He's doing a crazy celebration. You know where this is heading.
Oh, yeah.
The last minute of extra time, Manchester United has the equalizer. It's tied.
Buzzkill.
I'm looking around like, are we happy? Are we upset? Obviously, we thought we were going to win, but we still get a point. Some people everyone's confused. No one knows how to feel because we just tied the other team in a game. We were losing the whole time. We didn't win. I'm like, hockey has a solution for this. I understand it's like regular season, you get 3 points for a win, you get no points for a loss, but you do get a point if you lose in overtime.
Yeah.
Why can't that be a thing? It's
not like they're risking, I can see maybe regular season, they don't want to extend overtime forever to risk injury or what it is. Just shoot it out, man.
Let's go straight to PKs if that's an issue. It'll take 10 minutes longer, and we will have a clear and definitive winner, a loser. Somebody still gets points, but you still have that opportunity for a win. Hockey figured that one out. Soccer needs to catch up. I know it's not soccer anywhere else in the world, I don't feel bad about saying that because I'm not going to treat that sport with the respect that it deserves until we figure out the draw situation.
Good take. Out on draws for everything, except when you hit a nice high one off the tee shot. All right, I'll do my bearish. John, don't know if you saw, but Thursday, the Internet Invitational finale left us with some great and some tough moments, John. I'll start with this. It doesn't get any cooler and poetic and awesome than Beef hitting the first and the last shot and winning. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, you're going to watch it. Probably pause this and skip forward like 3 minutes at this point. But, not without some bearish, horrific, deplorable scenes. And, I, for one, there's two things here, two parts to this. I, for one, I can't let Instagram worldwide superstar Paige Spiranac slide on this. After essentially outwitting everyone and using her negotiating powers of leverage, to kind of get probability on her side, making the teams kind of in her favor, doing little things, just playing the game, right? Perfectly fine. Not knowing and claiming to not know that you can't improve your lie by stomping around it is an absolute joke. My 15 handicap friends know the rule. You know the rule. I know the rule. Everyone watching the show knows the rule. Borderline turned professional says this is the first time she has ever heard of something like that. Obviously blatantly lying. Don't want to pile on Paige. Tough scene there. But here's the big one. I'm fully out on good golf. Fully out. Consider me anti good. Felt like half the field there was either like good guys or ex guys that left. I understand like Horvat and Micah and Quan, they were all once good and something happened and they had a falling out and they lost. You have obviously the slope gate situation there with Melosi and the rangefinder, but worst of the worst, in my opinion, was his own boy and fellow good member, Mr. Bubby, essentially calling him out multiple times. Not only did he say something to him, he like ran and told Dave and was like trying to pull footage and in everyone's ear that like his own guy is cheating. And I thought that was freaking horrible. He was basically holding the stake for like his friend and partner in this company to fall on. And we've all been there. You get heated, golf gets competitive, a comment flies. But my friend John or any one of my friends, I tell them something. Was your ball out of bounds there, or did you find it, or was it here? And they say yes. You believe them, right? You move on. Friendship is not worth it. Golf is not worth it. The tension is not worth it. My friend tells me he didn't do something on the golf course. He didn't do it. That's the end of it. This dude would absolutely not let it go until everyone thought that his own friend was cheating. And I think that's really shitty. So they're just everywhere. I'm out on good on dude perfect now. Good clothes when I walk into Dick's Sporting Goods. Good PGA Tour event coming up. I'm not certain these are good people in this company. So I'm bearish on good, totally out. If there's anything that I took away from the Internet Invitational is I hope the next time around, and I thought the entire event was awesome, a little less good, a little more good people.
Love that. It's a good take. A good take. A good take. And I have a feeling you might be on your Disney trip the week of the good championship next fall. Taking this stance and just being completely out. We're as preferred lines, we take a stance against the good championship. We will not be supporting it. We will be on hiatus that week, next week. But no, I totally agree. I like the entertainment of throwing a lot of money at people who have never seen that type of money and seeing what it does. But what it does is reveal their true colors. Yes, which has been mostly bad. YouTube golfers, there's like a reason that they're not playing professionally for the most part. There's some good eggs in there. But it has really revealed a lot of undesirable traits in a lot of these people.
It has. And the undesirables are going to get a red line on my list in terms of my big board that we're about to draft. So we're going to have a little fun with this, John. We did this last time with items at the turn. I thought it was very topical since the Internet Invitational just wrapped up that I play captain of team green. You play captain of team blue. We will do this preferred lines. We're going to pull up the roster. And this isn't just about picking the best players. You want to pick the best team environment. Okay. This isn't, you want to pick good people. You want camaraderie. You want to win. All of those things included, John. I will go ahead. Let me see if I can pull this up. Okay. A little bit cut off here, but here's the roster. I know J.R. Smith didn't make it, but this is the majority of the players that competed in this. Let's do a little draft here, top 5. John, we're going to do snake draft just like last time. I'll give you the option. Do you want the number 1 overall pick or would you like 2, 3?
I'll take 1 if you're giving me 1 because I think I think 1 is in his own tier. I'm going Brad, which I will say going into the Internet Invitational, my assumption was that Wesley Bryan is the best one here, and
he is, dude. He is the best.
He should be, but he got outplayed in that whole tournament, and obviously, Brad hits it farther. Wes never hit it very far. He does all the other stuff extremely well. It's very close, but Brad Dalke, by all accounts, from Michael Kim, his interactions, Morikawa has talked about this too. Like, this guy he has all the talent in the world to be a pro golfer, and he's just doing very well without having to do that grind. And that's just been a really eye-opening thing about the whole YouTube golf craze over the last few years, is just like how viable of a career path this really is to make money doing your own thing golfing without having to go through the gauntlet of Q school and all that stuff. So I'm taking the champ himself, who proved that he can shoulder the load and carry everybody else. And he's just a good guy too. Like, there's a perfect teammate, a consummate leader of a team. So of course I'm taking the champ Brad with my 101.
Okay, you go Brad Dalke. I think you made I understand it, but I don't agree with the fact that he's better than Wesley Bryan. It was a weird thing in the first day where there's so much team action that he couldn't really have the impact. You needed a little bit of luck to get to the final day, and then the best players can really shine. I'm going to take Wesley Bryan at 2, and I'm going to go Peter Finch. I really wasn't a Peter Finch guy. I didn't know much about him. Really enjoy the pleasantness of his voice and his accent. And I thought it just brought great team camaraderie, an absolute bomber of the ball, which I want on my team. Great putter, self-proclaimed best putter on planet Earth. So I'm going to go Wesley Bryan, Peter Finch at 2 and 3. The picks 4 and 5 are back to you, but I got my 2 studs at the top. I'm going to ride.
Okay. I'm going to do the connect 4 block defensive move and pick up George Bryan just to keep that duo from happening. And I'm going to take Grant Horvat with him. I'm really going just best man available on the board so far. I want the thoroughbreds to be able to withstand any situation. And Grant Horvat's a good guy. I mean, he's a little goofy at times, I think, and the veneers are not it for me whatsoever. Like, we got to do something there. We got to take it down a notch, add a shade of yellow or something. Like, it's just very clearly not real teeth, and it's distracting to me. But he's a good guy from all accounts. It seems like, he's not. He's going to be a good teammate. He's a coach too. Like, I've looked at some of his instructional stuff. It's actually pretty helpful. So I would love a core of those 3 to start for sure.
Okay, wait. So you got Bryan, you got George Bryan, Grant Horvat, and you got Dalke.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to come back. I'm going to go Roger Steele. I think Roger caught some flack. I actually really like Roger. I got to know him at TGL because he emceed every single one, hung out with him a little bit after the finale. Really cool in person, and he's the only one that I can say that I know and have spoken to, I believe, on this list. So I'm going to go Roger Steele, hell of a player as well, very underrated. I felt like he was getting really moved down the odds board and should have been a top pick. And then at 4, Every good team, I think, needs an enforcer, and you need someone that is fully capable of chirping in these environments and getting in the head of the other team. So I'm going to take Ryan Whitney here because
Okay.
I think that he brings a little bit of that gas that I need to really get under the skin of your opponent and just needle and poke and be the enforcer that we need on Team Green here. So I'm going to go Roger Steele, Ryan Whitney, a couple of bullies there at the 3-4 spot to hold it down for my squad. You've got your final 2 picks. Who are you going with?
Yeah, Roger Steele was definitely up top on my board. So that's a great pick. I'm going to go with, I can't let Luke Kwan go undrafted.
Okay.
Now, this is with a caveat that as the captain of this team, I would do my due diligence and make sure that he's teeing off last in the group.
Gotcha.
I am going to give Robbie Berger some flack on that because as the truth comes out after the fact,
Yeah.
he overslept in the practice round 2. So as a manager, that's really your only job is figure out the order of who's going to come out. And
Right.
you've got a guy who's oversleeping, which it also seems like he's not alone in this. Abdul Carter on the Giants overslept practice earlier in the week and had disciplinary benching. So
Keon Coleman, it's like
yeah,
the stars get special treatment here. You got to take care of your guys. They aren't always the best. I would say questionable locker room decision, but you can't question the upside and the skill of someone like Quan.
yeah. I mean, my wife overslept on the trip. We missed our Westminster Abbey tour. It happens to the best of us. It's not just a Luke Kwan issue. So as manager, again, I'm going to see the best in Luke. I'm going to put him on the team. And I really feel like on talent alone, we're good on 4. So I'm with you. We need a needler at number 5. And I actually kind of think Paige works as a needler. And I think she's a really good complement to the other 4 on this team. She can distract very easily. She's got the game as well. I don't think she played her best in the Internet Invitational, but I know she's capable of better than that. And she's just a team player. You can see it. You don't want to play against Paige. You want her on your team. She's going to do whatever she can to scheme within the rules of the game and then make stuff up as she goes to kind of justify it. But that's who I want as my anchor as 5th in the lineup.
Great picks. I think that you've probably got me on skill. What I've got to go with is team continuity here and just really kind of coming together. I think I need another glue guy. A couple of guys on the top of my board that I'm going to pass up. I thought about Berkshire, although I think I have plenty of bombers out there. Really think that I'm so confident in my own ability to lead, but I've thought long and hard about John Gruden here, just because full on rally the troops guy, get behind the bunker and go to work. But I'm going to take Chaz. I thought Chaz was awesome. You need a guy with kind of the fluidity that I have off the tee to consistently hit fairways. I thought that for probably the first 4 episodes, he was probably the coming out party star of the Internet Invitational. So I'm going to go Chaz. So my 5, to recap, I've got Wesley Bryan, Peter Finch, Roger Steele, Chazzy, and Ryan Whitney. John goes Dalkey, George Bryan, Horvat, Page. Who was your last one?
Luke Kwan.
Luke Kwan. So he's got studs on the team. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments who you think won this battle. We'll send you something just like we did last time. Appreciate you guys for checking that out. Let's hop on in. Enough of the Internet Invitational. Let's talk about some real golf, John. Let's talk about the RSM Classic. Let's talk about Sea Island Golf Club. But before we do that, have to mention that this segment is brought to you by our good friends and new partners of the show, the good people over at GolfGuiders. If you have not downloaded the GolfGuiders app yet, it is a complete ecosystem for everything golf on and off the course. It is built by golfers. It's built by people who play the game. Modern technology. There's Golfer GPT. There's a news section on there. There's a section where you can make your own posts. There's a section where you can shop, all within the app. But I think one of the coolest features, John, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the completely free, un-ad-based, unsubscription-based GPS, navigation, rangefinder, all in one. You can really plot your way around a golf course, strategize it, see what clubs you hit, keep your score, all in one place, seamless and free. It is an awesome app. Go to GolfGuiders in the App Store. Make sure you download that. Make sure they know that the good folks over at Preferred Line sent you, but we are thrilled to be a part of their team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been such a valuable piece of research for me with the hole by hole flyovers. And I know you did a segment last week on Bermuda talking about that long par 3, which ended up being a very consequential hole. And when I think of that course, I think of that hole specifically because it's kind of a cupcake of a course, except for that hole. And that brings in a lot of drama. And it's like very unexpected that you have that much of a gauntlet in the middle of it. And you don't really pick up on that unless you do the flyovers. And it's just so easy to do it on GolfGuiders. And the fall swing, we get a lot of courses that we don't really like live and die on every shot on. So it's even more important that you have a resource like that when you're researching a course. And it honestly is just like, I like doing the research. This is why we do this. I like doing the research, having an idea of where the conflict is going to be on the course, where I should be like looking for these 2-shot swings to happen. Like that just makes watching it so much more exciting. So I love that we can do this with GolfGuiders. It's just one small piece of everything else they offer, but I will keep talking about it because I love it.
I've got a good one for this week. Speaking of that, so interestingly, like one of the things I think with the Seaside course in particular, obviously they're both very short golf courses. And I'll let you do the complete guide through the Plantation and the Seaside course here in just a second. Give me your full breakdown. But I think one of the interesting things is we were once in an era where it was like you want shorter accuracy guys who are going to stiff their wedges and hot putters. And I think what we've seen the last couple of years is, even though it's a 7,000 yard golf course, is the advantage that distance and power can really give a player in opening up opportunities on certain holes. And I wanted to illustrate the 5th hole at the Seaside course with some screenshots here that I actually took from the GolfGuiders app to kind of help us through it. This is the 5th hole. So it plays 405 yards for the PGA pros. You can see here you're in this classic like Georgia marshland, whatever they call it there. But the play for the majority of players is lay up to the edge of this dog leg 250. And you're left with kind of a daunting into the wind off the coast, 180 yard shot left, right? Turns into not an easy hole. It's the number 7 handicap hole for a reason. While being only 388 and under 400 yards, or the PGA Tour plays it right at 400, this is a difficult hole. But if you have the asset of power, John, you can totally change how you play this golf hole. So here is the line right here, 325 over everything, over the bunker to the front of the green. This is a line that you can only take with power and changes this from a 180 yard approach shot into the wind off the coast with wetlands and with OB to the right that you've got to hit it into that wind into a pretty easy birdie hole, because you can drive it up into that bunker. You can aim a little left of it. If you hit the green, so be it. And to kind of illustrate this was Ludwig Aberg and what he was able to do in the final round. So you see it played 407. Ludwig pulled driver because he's Ludwig and he's fearless and he knows that he can hit it straight, and drove a 407 yard green. I think he was a little bit downwind. I would show you this video here in the corner, but we might get copyright infringed by the PGA Tour. But 335 to the center of the green, easy 2-putt, allowed him to rattle off 3 in a row. And the guy shot 61, I believe 122 on the weekend, which is still a PGA Tour record. to achieve his first victory. So these are the type of graphics that you can get, and what you're able to do is you can kind of drag that pinpoint over there on GolfGuiders. You can do it with over any, I think they have 40,000 courses at their disposal, 42,000 courses worldwide. Take advantage, download the app. This will improve your game, and it's super fun to use.
Yes, that's such a great poll with the Ludwig example, because I remember that vividly. I was on Eric Cole that week. It was the battle for Rookie of the Year, which Eric Cole very clearly lost and then won Rookie of the Year anyway. But he was just so helpless in that final pairing against Ludwig. He looked like Ludwig looked like an actual robot birdieing every single hole on the weekend. And Eric Cole looked like a normal PGA Tour golfer who, to your point, couldn't cut off angles and was like in the fairways, because the fairways are fairly generous here. But if you miss them, then it's a lot of out of bounds. It's a lot of natural dunes and sand that you can't play from. So ideally you just drive it like Ludwig, where it's long and straight and you can take whatever line you want.
Yeah, obviously works. Two pretty short golf courses, both just over 7,000 yards. The Plantation is a par 72. The Seaside is a par 70. I think par 4 scoring is really important. I put together a model, and I know you did as well, over on BetSperts. I'll add that to the stage now. So this is the Sea Island Dawns model. Patrick Rogers is number one, which is a major cause for concern for me, because that doesn't fully add up. But when you look at how much I leaned on approach play and ball striking in recent years, combined with the fact I looked at strokes gained total at the end here on coastal golf courses, he is fourth best in the field. This is strokes gained total in the Southeast. This is strokes gained total here at Sea Island over the years. BetSperts is awesome. We got to mention them as well. Promo code over there. If you have not joined BetSperts yet, full content. You have access to my models, Keith Stewart, Pat Mayo, John Haselbauer, Matt Vincenzi, Andy Lack, the full complement of quote unquote experts that you can go and check out their model each and every week. Plus, I think it is the best and most intuitive stat building and model building software out there on the internet. So awesome stuff there. Thorbjorn Bjornsson second in mine. Eckroat, Kirk, Fishburne round out my top 5. You can look at all the things that I think are important in yours as well, John. I'm excited to continue this partnership with BetSperts as well.
Yeah, 100%. I'm a little embarrassed about my model this week because Matt Kuchar is number 1 in it. But I look back and he's actually having a way better fall swing than I realized he was. He's finished top 15 3 straight weeks going into the Bermuda, and I think he had like a mediocre Bermuda week, but kind of fits that mold of those like Webb Simpson, Kevin Kisner type of plotters who have had success there. So I double checked the numbers and they are right. And then what I'm valuing, he's very good at. So it could be a Cooch week for me. We'll see. But otherwise, I think I saw a lot of consistent names from your model too. So shout out BetSperts. I always, even if my instinct is that can't be right, it's always right. The numbers are always right. The models are the best in the industry. That's why we use them, and that's why everybody you mentioned uses them too.
The data is unbiased, unlike us. So it's important to use. Anything else on the course before we hop over? We'll look at some players. We'll dive into some odds. We'll make a couple picks, maybe. Anything else to touch on in terms of Sea Island before we leave this?
Yeah, the biggest thing I think is worth calling out and maybe discussing is, like, I would say 4 years ago, pre Davis Love renovation to the Plantation course, there was a significant gap. And it was significant to the point of what we see at Torrey Pines, where it's like, if you're going to make birdies,
Between
it's
the
going to
two
come on the
courses, you mean?
Plantation course. Yeah. Between the Plantation and Seaside. Davis Love renovated the Plantation course. It's still a par 72. There's still 4 par 5s. You would think that's where all the birdie opportunities are going to come relative to the par 70 Seaside that only has 2. But in recent years, maybe it's an anomaly with weather and the splits and the way that the wind hits the course. It has not been that easy. It's been very marginal, if equal, in difficulty to par since that renovation happened. And maybe that's where you see like the Ludwigs kind of separating. If it's playing a little bit more difficult, less like a cupcake, then you need more skill and you need more of an emphasis on good ball striking to actually generate legitimate birdie opportunities. Wind is always a factor here. It's very wind exposed. We saw that to like the most significant degree last week where it was like borderline unplayable at Bermuda. I haven't quite seen the forecast looking like that this week. I don't know if you have any notes on weather.
No,
I haven't really
not supposed to
gotten
be
to
bad
that
at all.
point. Okay, great. So if it plays down like that, then maybe you take a little bit less of an emphasis on the coastal guys who can separate with the ball flighting and play well in wind. It's like those guys tend to play well on all of the coastal courses. Vince Whaley is a guy who comes to mind for me, who's just always playing well in windy conditions. I don't know why. Maybe it's the Paspalum on a lot of them, and he putts well on it. I don't know what it is, but there's certain people who just really play well on coastal courses and not other courses, and that's typically to do with the way that they flight their shots into the wind. So something to consider. And then otherwise, I view this as really a comfort course for these Sea Island locals, which
Is that a
which
good
there
thing
are
or a
many.
bad thing? Like a comfort course?
It's a great question because some of these guys like Chris Kirk, you don't know if they're just here because they live here. There's a tournament here and they're just going to pop up because he hasn't played since the tour championship. Like, what do we do with that information? But then you look at the guys who win here, and it is a lot of the guys who've played it like 10, 11, 12 times. So the veterans who know the course like the back of their hand, know where you can't miss, aren't going to make doubles. They're going to put it in play and do what they have to do. They're probably not going to take those risks that like Ludwig did. And others are starting to when they're seeing the course for the first time. But I do think you have an advantage here if you've seen the course a bunch and you know how it plays and you know how the wind comes from different angles and where to miss and where not to. So I'm generally of the opinion of I want to see some good course history here on the guys I'm betting.
Yeah, I would say it's even though we've seen some bigger winners, I think it's a tough place for the cream to really rise. Like what I mean is when you go to a place like Torrey Pines South and you have a ton of approach shots coming from 180 to 225 yards. That's where you get the separation between someone like Rory and someone like Scotty Scheffler versus someone like Ben Coles or Victor Perez or Mac Meisner. From 100 to 125 yards, they're like a couple of feet. It's almost impossible for them to really separate from that range because it's all so even, and then it turns into a putting contest. But what I will say when you see Ludwig and when you see Mav back-to-back years is I think them getting inside of 100 yards, right? There is a difference in how your proximity to the hole from 85 yards to 140 yards. Right. So when those players are able to knock club down and hit driver pretty freely because the fairways in regulation rate is nearing 70%, which is well above PGA Tour average. They're about 45 yards wide. It gives them the ability, if they're confident that they can hit it straight, to leverage that distance, which allows them to gain in proximity, which allows them 10 feet closer on average for their putts, which is ultimately what you're going to have to do in a tournament where you need to get to 21 under par, which is the average winning score over the last 5 years in order to win. Now, when you get on the greens, you have to be able to putt it reasonably well here, which I think is key. And you don't have to be a great putter. You just have to have a great week. Like Svensson, I had him. He gained 10 strokes putting. And he made every single putt when it matters. And that is clearly not his game, but you're able to pull that off in one of these weeks. And that's when you come through for victory. There is one other big trend that I'm going to get to when we get to the top of the odds board. You ready to see some guys up there?
Yeah. One last thing before we do it, though. Did Mav give a reason for not being here today? Because if he doesn't have a good reason, I'm disappointed to see someone like him who's been around the tour as long as he has, finally picks up his first PGA Tour win at this event last year, and then can't be bothered to make an appearance and do a little press as the defending champ. Ludwig, I can understand he's like a superstar.
He was dealing with injury when he repeated, and I think he still came back and made his return, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Ludwig was back here last year. He's not here this year, maybe Ryder Cup year. He was overseas in Europe last week, so I'll give him a pass. But you're Matt McNeely. You've been due for this first win for a while. You pick it up at this event. This should be a precious event to him. And he's played 2 fall events. He played the Pro Core and the Bank of Utah. So unless he got hurt at the Bank of Utah, it's disappointing for me.
Yeah.
It's like insulting in a way to the event for him to not come back for a title defense.
Yeah, good call. I read here it says he initially committed and was listed by the RSM Classic as being in the field, but later withdrew for unknown reasons. So who knows? I don't see a good reason for injury there. So strange move for Mav there to not come back and defend his crown there in St. Simmons Island. Yeah, St. Simmons Island, Georgia. For some reason, I always think this is in like the Carolinas, but it is in the tip of Georgia there. All right, let's hit the odds board. Let's take a look at some guys this week. All right, here we go. This is what the top of the odds board looks like. Your odds, official odds to win the 2025 RSM Classic at Sea Island Golf Club. The favorite this week, local boy Harris English, 22-1. You've got Michael Thor Bjornsson, 25-1. Siwoo Kim, 25-1. Denny Dirt McCarthy at 28-1. Brian Harmon, another Sea Island Mafia guy, 28-1. JT Poston, another Sea Island guy, 30-1. Thorbjorn Olesen at 30, Rico Hoey at 30, Chris Kirk at 33-1. That's the crew of goblins and goons that we've got under 40-1 this week. John, what are your thoughts on the top of the board? Because here's the trend that I kind of noticed, and I know that everyone will hit on it this week. When we get these big names in the field, and this has happened routinely at this event, who have not competed during the fall swing, they often fail. And the winners, going back to Svensson, who played like 5 or 6 times that fall, to Ludwig, played a ton during that fall. Mav played a ton during the fall last year before he won this event. You get this influx of guys, whether it's English, Kim, McCarthy, Harmon, Chris Kirk, all these guys who have not teed it up once since their run in the Tour Championship. Is that cause for concern? You mentioned a lot of local ties, maybe a comfort spot for them, but I have some worries about reps and about form and about preparation heading into these events for many of these top names, which has led me off betting them.
Yeah, I'm not going to strike guys off. I mean, Ben Griffin seemed like an example of somebody who was just more talented than everybody else in the field at the Worldwide Technologies, and he hadn't played since the Ryder Cup. And that's essentially the last time we saw Harris English, the favorite this week. So I'm not going to write him off because I just saw it happen to my demise that week. I mean, we were both on a few of the same guys in Mexico. I was hoping that it wouldn't be that case, but it was. And then last week you got at the Bermuda, it's Adam Schenk, like from Guam, from the parking lot, in the deep hundreds to 1, beating out all the favorites, right? So it's the fall swing. Anything can happen. I'm not gonna strike through any like very talented players here. And the motivation is like your friends and family are there. They're walking with you in the galleries. You want to win in front of these guys. You want to put on a show in front of your local community. So even if they're not sharp, sometimes that's okay. Chris Kirk won the Century last year or the year before, not picking up a club the entire offseason. So like some of these guys, it's what they need, a little bit of a break. Some of them, they need the rhythm, and that's not who you want. But I think a lot of the top guys you see are guys that just come back here every single year. So you can, if you have that kind of apprehension of like a Brian Harmon, for instance, just look back at their course history. Like, were they doing that before? And if he's on your short list, if you're watching this and you're like trying to decide, that's what I will typically do, is like, is what he's doing this year any different than what he was doing when he top 5'd at this event in the past?
Yeah, speaking on a couple of the guys there, I'm not betting any. Well, all right, I'm betting Denny McCarthy. I have to bet Denny McCarthy. As soon as I see Barop and like my boy is on Denny, I'm like, okay, I have to get this in. I have to plug my nose and ignore everything and just hope that we get a Denny week. Because if it comes down to making putts, if there's anyone likely to gain 10 strokes putting, obviously it's McCarthy. Obviously he really likes it here. He's top 25 in 3 of the last 4 years. He's got a 5th, he's got a 10th, he's got a 25th last year. Plays very well at this spot. His biggest weakness in terms of the entire year of 2025 was struggling to hone in the dispersion with the driver and the big misses, which given this course has a much higher fairways in regulation rate, it should give him a little bit of room. Hopefully some off-season work to kind of hone that in a little bit. I took a hard look at Thor Bjornsson just because Thor feels like the guy, like he feels like the Ludwig from 2 falls ago. He feels like the Mav from last fall, like a guy who's everyone's on, who's playing a lot, who's dominant, who hits it straight, who hits it far, who putts it pretty well. I just don't love the odds, but he did finish T8 at this event. I know, this event last year, so it's worth noting there. Thor was the one that I probably liked the most. But out of my own personal bias, I refused to believe my own stat model and went with my gut, which says you have to bet Denny McCarthy to dig in the dirt of the RSM Classic, and we took a 30-1. So there we go. Shocker, Keith says. Keith, I don't know what to say at this point. I'm so beholden to this that when it happens, I'm going to throw a pizza party for the internet and probably still have a nice betting ticket and lose a ton of money on it. So Denny McCarthy week. Keith, if you see him on the range, just send me a text and let me know if he can hit it within like a 50-yard wide span into the fairway. And if he does, I think he can make enough putts. So Denny's my guy at the top. It feels dumb. I feel dumb saying it, but we're here, 30-1, Denny.
I don't think it's dumb. I mean, you just watch Adam Schenk win his first career PGA Tour event. Probably about the same age, right? They've been chasing this for just as long, and he's a better golfer than Adam Schenk is. So, like, that's enough justification for me. Maybe it takes a little bit of motivation. Maybe he putts one-handed this week. Not that putting is the reason that Denny hasn't won yet.
Not change the putting stroke.
He did change putters recently last season, right? For a stretch, he moved off his gamer for a little bit. That's not the problem, Denny. If he's probably watching this, friend of the program. It's the driver. Let's get that suited, and then we're looking good. I've definitely sweat Denny at this event multiple times. He's finished top 10 here, I think, twice over the last 4 years. I think I was on him both of those years. So, he's knocking. I don't think 30 is a bad number. I have reservations about a lot of other people at the top of that board. And Denny is someone who, even if he's not having an active fall swing, he doesn't have a connection he doesn't have a personal connection here. So I firmly believe he's entered this tournament because he believes this is a track that actually suits his game and he's trying to get this win. So I like Denny. If I bet anybody south of 30-1, it will be Denny McCarthy. And if I don't bet Denny, it's going to be just like a firework display of bets of just popping off, 50. I could have 12 to 15 guys on a card if I start in the 50s, because it is a little bit of a random event. It's been a little bit of a random fall swing. There's a lot of guys here that fit the profile I'm looking for of good Bermuda putters, play well on short courses, have good short range wedges. So I can fire off a bunch of names on this list, but I would say I haven't placed any bets yet, but the definites for me are Mac Hughes at 60 course force. I think he's number 1 in course history. Yeah. Talk about a great Bermuda putter. If you like Denny, you got to just combo the two, because they both, when they're on, they're both playing this course well. They're both finishing top 5 together. I think I'm going to go back on the Eric Cole train. Mm-hmm. I didn't join you. Was it Worldwide Technologies? I think you were making the case on him. When I look at all of Eric Cole's best finishes, all his top 10s, they're all on short courses. If I just go to his data golf chapter of best finishes, they're all courses where he's not being disadvantaged with lack of distance. So this is, and he was in the final pairing with Ludd 2 years ago, so we know he can do it here. He's had a pretty underrated fall swing, so I think this is a good spot to hop back on Eric Cole. Cooch was number 1 in my model. I'll probably 50-1 for him. I don't think it's bad. He's the type of player personified by Sea Island. When you look at the best all-time strokes game players here, they look like Matt Kuchar. Interestingly, he has not had great results here, but I think he's in much better fall swing form than we've seen. He's
playing good
over the last few years. So I feel pretty good about his game. Those are the guys that when I did my first pass in this mid-range, I was like, I can definitely fit these guys on a card, and we'll figure out how top or bottom heavy the rest of the card is going to be.
Yeah, I didn't go to Cooch. My absolute favorite pick and that I made initially, and if you're in Florida, they have a 50-1 right now, which I believe is best to market. I've hit it 3 separate times today. I love Pearson Cootie. Was on Cootie last week. He was my favorite pick, was hopeful for him at the Bermuda, and I said the Bermuda is a terrible course fit for him, but that's how good of a player that I think he is, and how much I love the talent and the marrying of current form for him, that I bet him on a terrible course fit. Different story. We're getting a better price, obviously a better field this week, but what I think is a much better course fit. And I think that he can really leverage his distance, his off the tee ability to hit it reasonably straight, but also really long. And that hole that I put out, and there's several at the Seaside course, where Ludwig was able to drive it, Cootie can do that. He is number 2 in strokes gained off the tee over the last 36 rounds. He is a good enough putter, much like Ludwig, much like Mav. He's not only a bomber, but he also pairs that with the ability to hold putts on the greens, and he is number 1 in strokes gained total over the PGA Tour fall swing. He is trending. He needs it. Okay, this is a guy that I believe right now. Let me see where he's at. I think he's on the outside looking in. So let me pull this back in here. This is an important list to pay attention to this week. So this is the guys right on the fringe of the top 60. So Hoey's right there. Kirk is right there in need of a good week. Nico, Patrick Rogers, Matty Schmid. Where is Pearson Cootie? Pearson Cootie right here, number 110. So he needs this week badly. He's playing good. He's got to be hyper focused. It is a terrific course fit for him. I like it at 40. I love it at 45, and you should be absolutely pounding it at 50-1. Pearson Cootie is on my card. And the other guy what are your thoughts on Cootie before I go to my next guy?
Yeah, I think he's got a really good next season ahead of him. I think he's battled some injuries in the middle of this season that set him back a little bit, and he has like a little bit of a wonky data golf roller coaster season because of that injury. But he's looked good lately. Obviously, more of like a bomber spray fit, as you said. That's where your mind would typically go for Cootie. But he's just a good overall player. I was actually not following him in person, but I was following his round at the Barbasol the year before. It was the ISCO, and Rico Hoey choked it away, and Harry Hall won that year. And he was playing injured, like he had a wrist injury, and he was still hitting the shots while playing injured. So he's a gamer. I love that about him. I became more of a fan after watching him there. And I think he's definitely like DFS. Like he's going to be a great leverage play this week.
Yeah, for sure. A couple of the other guys in this range. So I have not done it yet with Eric Cole. Man, I wanted a reason, and I put out a tweet like an hour before we went live. I was like scouring for a reason to bet Keith Mitchell, just because I feel like he's he loves Sea Island. He plays a ton here. Loves the area. I feel like he's a fantastic course fit when in form. Like if you look at 2025, I believe he was 11th in strokes gained off the tee on the PGA Tour and 6th in approach. Like the dude had a great ball striking year, could not put anything together other than that. But if he's able to do that and find some sort of comfort level and familiarity on a course that he's probably played 100 times, where he has that local narrative, he's another like similar to Denny for me, which I have so many losing tickets on him that it just feels weird going back to him. But I kind of like Keith Mitchell. If I don't go Eric Cole, the one that I actually did play, so I already made this pick, was Ryan Gerard.
Mm-hmm.
I really like him as a player a lot. I think his best surface is Bermuda grass. Plays well on coastal courses. Has a ton of reps under his belt recently. Obviously got the win at the Barracuda, kind of moving toward the end of last year. Has not only been playing sort of decent, he just top 20 at the Bank of Utah, but went over to Abu Dhabi and played in the HSBC Championship. So finished, he lost four strokes putting there. Still finished T56, but I just love the fact that he's been bouncing around playing a lot of golf. So he played Abu Dhabi, he played the Irish Open, he played the PGA Championship, he played the Bay Current Classic in Japan, he played the BMW Championship. Like, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This will be his 9th tournament since August worldwide. That's a lot of golf. A guy that's in decent form and playing pretty well. And 10 tournaments ago, he obviously won the Barracuda Championship. So I think high-end upside, maybe someone that a little people are sleeping on this week. I really like his stat profile for this golf course as well. So 65 to 1 I got on Ryan Gerard this week. He's on the card.
Yeah, Gerard is great. I associate him and Mac Meisner together. I feel like they play well at similar courses, and he was a guy that was popping for me. We gotta talk about Frankie Saps too. I mean,
dude,
I feel
we're
like
in on Frankie Saps. I got 300 to 1.
like, guy's got a pair of top 10s over his last 4 starts, and you can get him at 300 to 1. Like,
and I was so
almost
scared
there on him too.
Dude, I was so scared because I didn't have him at the Bermuda, and I've been betting him all fall at massive numbers. Look, Frankie Caps is triple digits, and he's auto bet from here on out. I love his combination of power. I love his attitude. I think he's a gamer. He's criminally undervalued on the board, even coming off of a great finish in Bermuda this week. Just an outrageous price and a must price. But the other guy that I actually really like in this higher range, I got 110 to 1. Course record holder at the Seaside course, Grayson Sigg, who has been on a great approach run as well. I think I have him 3rd in the last 24 rounds in strokes gained approach. I'll pull up the BetSperts thing here and what I had for Sigg, because he was looking really good. Yeah, 3rd in strokes gained approach over the last 24 rounds, 20th in ball striking, 6th in approach long term, number 1 in the field from 100 to 150 yards, bogey avoidance top 6, 31st in course history. But as I mentioned, another sort of Sea Island guy where you're only seeing his rounds at this tournament, but obviously has posted some pretty epic finishes at this course over the years, enough to shoot like an outrageous course record on a course that has like 12 to 15 PGA Tour pros, which is pretty sick. So Grayson Sigg, I believe, is in the 100 to 1 range still. I got 110 to 1. Really like that play as well.
Yeah, he was a guy that stuck out to me when I was doing the initial model runs, because he is such a Bermuda guy, and his splits on Bermuda and coastal courses is like, that's the time that you play him. I'm looking at the kid, putting my hard-earned dollars that I work for a living on 18-year-old Blades Brown.
Are you looking at the kid? Did he turn 18? I thought he was 17.
Oh, he's 18. He's 18 in 6 months, according to Data Golf. So T34 at Bermuda, just kind of cut his teeth a little bit on the PGA Tour, so he knows what he's working with now. And now you got another short positional Bermuda course, so he can just run that back, do it again. He's not like a world beater yet. He may be down the line, but you talk about talent at 350 to 1. I'm getting weird this week. Like, I'm definitely betting at least 10 guys within the same like risk exposure I normally do, but I always do that at this event. I get a lot of bullets in the chamber, and you just don't know what's going to happen. You're going to get an advantageous weather split. You just want you want arrows in the quiver, bullets in the chamber, darts in your hand, and pray for upside. And that's what I'm doing with 18-year-old Blades Brown.
Love it. A couple of guys just kind of looking at this list. I had Seamus Power last week on the card. He obviously needs a good week here, right at 129. Frankie Sappins right there at 124 really needs a good week. I had Jackson Suber, disappointing missed cut last week, right there at 121 on the list. Here's Matt Kuchar at 113. Obviously a ton of motivation for him. Victor Perez, Tom Kim, Bo Haas, Carl Phillips, Takumi Kanaya, I was really impressed with, is at 99 right here. So a lot of guys, Thorbjorn as well. I'm not sure if he has status any other way, but Thorbjorn's been playing awesome, been playing a lot of golf. He's right there at like the 30-1 range. Just a ton of really cool storylines, and I'm super looking forward to kind of this event and wrapping up the season on an event that I really like watching. We should have some great weather for it, decent field. So excited to see the guys get out there and get after it in Sea Island.
Yeah, absolutely. One other guy I didn't mention, Doc Redman.
I know.
Look out for the Doc Renaissance, because he has found something over the last 2 weeks. He's got, let me get back.
What did he finish in Utah? It was decent, right?
He was T9 at Sanderson, followed that up with a T20 at Utah. At Sanderson, he led the whole field in tee to green and had a crazy approach week. He was like number 1 on approach, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then followed it up with a T20. We haven't seen him since Utah. So something in the Doc Redman camp is working right now. And this is not a Doc Redman course. He's finished T23 here once. Not a lot of great results since, but he hasn't had a lot of great form since 2020 anyway. So again, this is where I'm looking on the board. Just like I might have 5 or 6 guys 200-1 plus, just because I'm gonna have room for it. And I don't think that's the wrong way to approach what will most likely end up being a big time birdie fest.
If you want any deeper analysis into this week, everything you need to know about the RSM Classic article is out now. Go to his Twitter page at PGA TOUR. You will find that there. My top 10 power rankings with some stats and notes on the top 10 players that I have ranked in the field is out now over at Rotoballer. You can catch that on my Twitter feed at Tour Picks. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring you guys this show for another year. Do me a huge favor, support the show, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to it. We are trying to make a huge push and effort to kind of land this with some other partners as we head into the new year, and it would mean a whole heck of a lot to us. I know you guys are out there to supporting the show, but just to visibly see it and have something tangible that we can point to, whether it's leaving a comment on the show, whether it's sharing the retweet, whether it's telling a friend about this, both John and I would be extremely appreciative of it. Thank you once again. This has been another episode of Preferred Lines. John, we're out of here. You got anything to say to kind of wrap up for the RSM Classic as we keep our eyes peeled for 2026?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, my article is up. It was up delayed today. I lost access to the Slack server at Lineups, which I thought meant that I got fired. But it didn't. It didn't mean that. I'm still here. The article is still up. It was just a misunderstanding and a server down. So that was a panic moment that I had day one back from vacation, that they might have fired me while I was gone. But they didn't. I'm still writing articles. We're still doing this show. We will hopefully have even more sponsors next year. It's all trending up for the boys on Preferred Lines. We're going to hit a winner this week. It's probably going to be Denny. I can't not bet him. But Denny and Frankie Saps, I think, are just autos on Joe and I's card in perpetuity now until one of them hits a big one.
Yo, we need this. We need this, Denny. Come on, baby. We got to wrap up the year on a positive note. Thank you, Keith, for the kind words. Those of you out there who don't follow Keith, you should go do that. Read the line. He will be on site. He's there now. He's going to be there through Wednesday. Sign up for the Read the Line newsletter. It is awesome. It is the #1 place you should turn to for driving range type tips. Just like he's telling me that Denny's out there chasing speed and losing accuracy. That's not what we're here for, Keith. We want positive vibes only. Talk to me when he gains 12 strokes putting and hoists up that RSM Classic trophy on Sunday afternoon. This has been another episode of Preferred Lines. Wishing you guys all the best. Have a great Thanksgiving. Have a great holiday season if we don't see you. Thanks for your support for the show. Go hit a winner this week. John and I are out of here. Till next time, peace.